So myself Priyesh, I will be handling the UPSC Civil Service Mains Examination 2022. So this year around 9 questions came into the UPSC examination. Okay. So what are the 9 questions are there, and we have to discuss all 9 questions, and total 9 questions are divided into 2 sections, which came in 2022 mains GS1 paper. So 4 questions uh, of 150 volts limit, or 10 marker questions in that, and the rest of the 5 questions are 250 volts limit with the 50 marker questions are there. So the total we add them, so this will be 9 questions, and total marking would be around 115 marks. Questions came from the general studies paper 1 from geography section. Let me begin with the question number 1. So question number 4 of GS1 says that describe the characteristics and the types of primary rocks. Okay, so what is the demand of this? What are primary rocks? What are different types of primary rocks? What are the characteristics of this? So when you are doing the answer frame for this, first define primary rocks. First define the primary rocks. So those rocks which are first time originated by the volcanism process, and which is the earliest and the oldest rocks, that is called as the primary rocks. Okay, so now these rocks are the first time rocks, and these rocks undergo transformation, and then it becomes secondary, tertiary, and quaternary. The focus point here is different types of primary rocks and what are their characteristics are. So let's see the characteristics and the types. Characteristics and types. So, okay, characteristics and types totally depending on the origin of primary rocks, depending on what called origin of these primary rocks. The origin is what called, which process has produced primary rocks, especially the volcanic eruptions. Okay, so early volcanic eruptions produces magma. So this magma undergo cooling and solidification, the resulting into first kind of rocks formation. This first kind of rocks is called primary rocks. And which rocks does it this cooling on and the solidification of magma from volcanism produce? These are nothing but called as what? Igneous rocks. We know the rocks are more than 700 types. And these 700 types all are not primary. These primary rocks undergo transformation, like it may turn into what called transformed rocks, may become what secondary, like sedimentary or metamorphic, or maybe the further secondary may be transformed into what called tertiary rocks. This is also maybe a sedimentary or metamorphic, or they further get transformed, then it is called as what? A quaternary rocks. So here this all primary rocks is produced because of volcanic process or magmatization, or produced by the process of what called magmatizations. Okay, so now what kind of characteristics such kind of primary rocks? These guys do not write much on the sedimentary rocks and the metamorphic, because these are either be a secondary, tertiary, or quaternary. Primary rocks are only what? Igneous types of rocks only. What are the basic characteristics of such rocks are? If you look at the characteristics, they are oldest rocks. Okay, and 90% of these earth crust is produced because of the primary rocks only. Okay, and these rocks are on solidification of magma. It produces a crystalline grains, the crystalline in nature. Okay, they does not have the foliated layer or does not have strata. So these are what called non-stratified in character. Apart from non-stratified, if you are looking into the properties of the character, does it have fossils? Because these are oldest rocks, non-fossilized. Okay, these are non-fossilized rocks. Okay, another, if you are observing these rocks are very hard actually. These are hard. One of the hardest rocks are produced by this. Now, how you divide these rocks, primary rocks? So the classification of primary rocks, we know what call types of Types of primary rocks. Okay, types of what? Types of primary rocks. So these types of primary rocks could be classified on two bases. On the basis of the silica content of magma, silica content of magma which cools and solidifies. So that's like there are four subtypes under that. Okay. Like if the silica is more, it is felsic rocks. Okay. If silica is reducing, then it is in intermediate, it turn into what called intermediate igneous rocks. If the silica is further reduced and magnesium iron content are increasing, then it is called as what? Which rocks? Mafic rocks. If it is further magnesium and iron content increase and the silica is further reduced, then it is becoming ultra mafic type of igneous rock. So felsic best example is granite. Okay, granite is the best example for this. And the intermediate rocks is andesite rocks. Best example. And mafic rock best example, Bacho, is what? This is basaltic rocks. Basaltic igneous rocks is the best example of mafic. And the ultramafic best example is peridotite. Okay, peridotite rocks. These rocks are on the basis of silica content of magma. So generally, first two rocks, felsic and intermediate, is we also call as this called as acidic rocks, acidic igneous rocks, and the last two we are called as basic igneous rocks. This is the one way of classifying the rocks of igneous type of primary. The second method of classifying the primary rocks and its types are on the basis of location. On the basis of what? Location of formation. Location of formation. Some of these igneous rocks are formed above the surface. Suppose when volcanism, suppose this is the surface and the volcanism is occurring beneath the surface, and this chamber beneath the surface called magmatic chamber, and that is producing a volcanism. That is producing the volcanism. As a result, you have a vent. Okay, and this vent will produce the volcanic rocks. Okay, producing the volcanic rocks, and this kind of lava can cool and solidified here, or maybe forming hill or whatever the structures. This is extrusive igneous rock. Above the surface, this is the surface. Okay, so these rocks are called what? Extrusive igneous rocks, and which is expressed in terms of different type of volcanic landforms. Okay, these are responsible for what? Volcanic landforms, and these are volcanic rocks only. Okay, and some of the feats, cooling and solidification plays beneath the surface of the earth. When it is taking beneath the earth surface, it producing different kind of rocks, maybe vertical, maybe horizontal structures, maybe dome-like structures, whatever the cooling is happening beneath the surface, and this is called as what? Intrusive igneous rocks. Okay, so these are further types you can, on the basis of shape, size, and structure, they are divided, which is just beneath is called as plutonic type of intrusive igneous rocks, and very deeper part of crust containing primary igneous rocks called as what? Hyperbasal type of intrusive igneous rocks, and they could be looked into different forms, like maybe called batholiths. Okay, you can draw the diagrams of batholiths, or like this palcoliths. Okay, or sills, or dikes. Okay, or etc. etc. It have different kind of structures can be used. And what is the form? The importance of primary rocks? It is the major constituent of the lithosphere crust actually. So in the end, you can give the importance of the primary rocks. The importance is it is forming the basement rocks of what? Basement rocks of the most of the continents actually, and this is called the shield or the cratons, okay, like Canadian Shield for North America, or the Peninsular Shield for India, or the Scandinavian Shield for North Europe, or the Siberian Shield for Russia, or the Brazilian Shield for South America, or you can call as Ethiopian and Nubian Shield for Africa, and West Australian Shield for Australia, like that, Antarctica Shield. So these are responsible for the formation of what? The continents actually. So next, when these rocks contain, igneous rocks or primal rocks contains large amount of what? Mineral resources, both metallic, non-metallic, rare earth materials, atomic minerals. So it is a source of mineral resources to the world, but not a fossil fuels. This is the first question, Denmark it can write. The question number 5, which came in the paper 1 GS for geography section, is what? This is called as the discuss the meaning of color coded weather warnings for cyclone prone areas given by India Meteorological Department. So here we have to focus on color coded weather warning system for cyclones prone areas. If you see, the second word is cyclone prone areas given in India. So cyclone prone areas are coastal areas. So if you see this map of India, okay, if you're seeing this map of India, which part of India is experiencing cyclone more? We have Bengal coastline, or these called, or the Bay of Bengal coastline. This is Bay of Bengal, and this is called Arabian Sea coast. Which coastline are experiencing more cyclones? We know 80% of cyclones are experienced by Bay of Bengal coastlines of India, and this rest of the 20%, both frequency and intensity wise, is experienced by Arabian Sea. So more frequent, more intense cyclones are experienced in Bay of Bengal, from Bengal to Tamil Nadu. So these coastal areas become what? Is become prone to what? The cyclone prone area. So this becomes, please first plot the cyclone prone areas. So second point is the color coded weather warning system. The IMD, Indian Meteorological Department, in 2006. In 2006, issued a early warning system on the basis of color coded weather pattern system. Issued color coded first time. So as a part of disaster management activity. Okay. IMD in 2006 issued color coded weather warning system. Warning system, they have designed it. Okay. In 2006. So what are the color and how does it look? So what is the purpose of color code? So it is used for the disaster management purposes. Major purposes of disaster, but management purposes. This is being, what are the colors are used? So as a result, early warning system could be put into usage here. So now, if you are observing, so there are 4 colors are like. So the IMD use what called 4 stages for early warning, and 4 colors are being used. Okay, stage 1 is 72 hours before. They're using the green color, means no problem. Okay, and 48 hours before alert comes out, this is turning into another color. Then the next is around 24 hours before, and then last is around 12 hours before the cyclone. So this green color then is turning into yellow color, then is the orange, and then is the what called red color. So red color, as we're moving from green to red, the cyclone is approaching towards the coast and getting more and more intense actually. So this is what is meaning by these colors. Green to yellow to orange to red means cyclone, tropical cyclone approaching in towards what? Coast, and will cause intense damage. Will cause what? Will cause intense damage. So in order to reduce this damage, so early warning has to be issued. Okay, green color is like the cyclone is in formation process. Yellow is in the alert message comes out. It is entering into dangerous level, and it is a landfall post is this thing. So red is the this thing. So now when depending on the stage, exercise has to be done. So what the options, the disaster management actions are there. Disaster management action on different kinds of color code which is issued to the coastal community. So here the local authorities, local authorities are active at different stages. Okay, and for disaster management purposes, post disaster activity they start to doing like. So what are these actions? Maybe diversions of what? Traffic. During when the color is red or orange, they try to do what? Diversion of traffic actually. Road, rail, air traffic has been diverted or stops. Diversion of traffic to the coastal area which is hit by this red color cyclone. The diversion of traffic would be then all forms of traffic, even transportation, communication lines, power lines, damage. That's also this telecommunications lines, telecom and power lines, restoration programs. Okay, removal of what called all kind of blockades on the tree. This is at the red level actually. So tree blockades which has fallen on the ground. So uprooted tree blocks are removed from the transport for the future point. Even this is providing relief rescue operations, launching what called relief rescue operation. When the red message is there, okay, during the orange 24 hours before, what the authorities can do. So this early evacuation program, early what called evacuation programs launched in the coastal areas so the people get evacuated from there and put to the shelter belt. So 48 hours before, 40, 40 hours, 48 hours, 48 hours before what happened. So we have an option of like asking these people who are in the open sea come back onto the coastal areas, like for the safety of fishermen, for the safe guidelines are issued for safety for fishermen to come back onto the coastal areas. Is it clear? So this is about the question number 2. Question which UPSC has asked on geography, GS1 is this one. Discuss the natural resources potential of Deccan trap. 150 words, 10 mark question. So what we have to do in this? So first you understand what is Deccan trap. So Deccan trap is a part of the peninsular plateau which is made up of basaltic lava. If you see the map of India, keeping the western margins, Mumbai as a center, it is spread to Maharashtra, some part of North Karnataka and southern this Gujarat, okay, and some part of uh, plateau of Madhya Pradesh and some western Telangana too. This big spread. Okay, now keeping this as a part of Indian territory, like suppose this is the Indian map, keeping Bombay as a center. Okay, or so this is spread in this part actually. So this part is called as what? Deccan trap. Just first draw the diagram for Deccan trap. So this is a Deccan trap. So which is located in the Deccan plateau itself. Trap means what? This trap in a step-like structure which is found there. So first define the word Deccan. It's a part of a Deccan plateau. What is a trap? Trap is a step-like structure which is produced due to the deposition of basaltic lava. So technically, Deccan trap is a basaltic step-like plateau, basaltic lava plateau. So how does this lava plateaus produce origin two lines and then go with this resource potential there? So, the origin of the Deccan Plateau, origin of or formation of this, once India was located due to plate tectonic movement and continental drift around 65 million years ago, in the late Cretaceous phase, India was located at near present Madagascar. Okay, and this location, there was a one volcanic hotspot called what? The Union hotspot. It's a volcanic hotspot which erupted many number of times and resulting into cooling and solidification and forming this trap-like structure. So region volcanics erupted and releases which lava? Basaltic lava from it. Okay, and so around there are more than 29 layers. So 29 to 32 layers of basaltic lava at different period of times get deposited. Okay, and then resulting into step-like structure called Deccan trap of basaltic lava plateau came into picture. So because of this formation, so it's a locational spread is what? Locational spread of this lava plateau is most of this part of what? Maharashtra, southern, south Gujarat, okay, eastern, so north North Karnataka, Malwa region of Madhya Pradesh, or even this called Western Telangana, Western Telangana, it has been spread. So earlier this Deccan trap was very big actually, very big because of erosion washing away. So the lava has been washed away, it's not been found today. So in the past I'm talking about, today is only left out this. What is the importance? Now second aspect, discuss the what? Natural resource potential of Deccan trap. So as for the resource potential of Deccan trap is concerned, think of resource potential. What kind of resource potential Deccan trap can have? So first is like the basaltic lava decomposition producing the soil, the black soil which is highly fertile soil and used for all kind of crops if the water is available. So the most fertile soil of India is this actually, black soil, most fertile soil of India. So this is first point and used for agricultural purposes, agricultural resources generated. Okay, and it is a clay-rich soil, so it can retain water for longer period of time. Second point is it having these oldest rocks like pyroxene, olivine, and all kind of thing, which is providing a mineral resource. Like the oldest basaltic rocks, okay, like basalts are always also been here. Old basalt is good in some kind of mineral resource too, like pyroxene, olivine, and all kind of things. So mineral resource. So which minerals are mainly found in here, which is buried. So this Maharashtra, Karnataka, Goa is also known for iron ore mining. Iron ore mining has been identified here. Okay, so rich in iron. So because the volcanic material is buried inside, it is a location of volcanic. So magma closeness, right? Magma is close to the crest here in the Western Ghats location and all, resulting into formation of large number of what? Hot springs, and which is used as for a tourist purposes as a medical resort. Actually, could be used as a medical resort purposes. Okay, so magma is a volcanic richness producing hot spring. So large number of tourist destinations, large number of tourist destinations it is having. So this is also used as a resource for this region. Another so another importance of this basaltic trap is now it is providing a drainage system of special type. Old drainage system has been maintained because of running waters and all, for super imposed drainage systems is there, and still a source of what? Superimposed drainage system is developed and the source of various rivers. Okay, this region is a source of many peninsular rivers, and storing the waters for it. So the resource, water resource the surface water resource provided by them. So it's a great economic advantage. Okay, and so for agriculture, this is known for dry areas, cotton growing areas. The cotton and textile industries emerged here. Okay, cotton, and in these irrigated areas like sugarcane farming has been done. So the sugar mills are there. Two important agriculture industries emerge here: cotton industries and what called sugar mills are there. That's why the most of these sugar mills are shifting from North India to South India, because to utilize the resource potential of Deccan Trap. And already we know the India's like more than 60% of cotton textile industries are located in the Deccan Trap, Maharashtra, Gujarat. Okay, location, keeping the Mumbai as a one apex and Ahmedabad as the second apex. Okay, these are the resource potential. Then you do the conclusion. But problem here in the conclusion is when you're writing it, this entire potential is not put into utilization, especially in the eastern part of the Deccan Trap. Okay, because of lack of irrigation facilities there, lack of industrialization there, mineral resources are not much exploited, and that the government must do investment and capitalize it. Okay, so Vidarbha region, Marathwada regions, the rain shadow areas of Western Ghats. That's needed solution part. Now come to the next question number 7th. Examine the potential of wind energy in India and explain the reasons for the limited spatial speed. So when you're looking at the wind energy is a renewable energy. Okay, India has a great potential to generate what? Wind energy. So from where the wind energy could be generated? So the wind energy is truly depending on the wind speed, and wind speed is contained and stopped or reduced because of obstruction caused by the vegetation or the urbanization or man-made structure. So the best location for the wind energy generation is the coastal areas or the dry areas of the best explanation. That's what most of the wind energy generations done in the dry geographies of Rajasthan, Gujarat. Okay, Rajasthan and what? Gujarat, or in coastal areas, because coastal areas, what happened? Sustained, consistent winds are moving from the sea to the land side, and that could be used to generate wind power actually. Coastal areas from Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, they are the major areas of generating the wind power. So now these dry and coastal areas are limited. Okay, and we have to search for new wind power. And the wind power is also depending on the height of the windmills. Okay, height of the windmills. Because it's go more and more taller the windmill, so it has less obstruction and the wind power would be more. So at 50 meters height, 80 meters height, 100 meters height, 120, 150 meters height, windmill as you go higher and higher, wind power is more and more generated. Okay, this is one point. So because of limitation of dry areas or coastal height of the windmill, so the government of India are technologically shifting from the onshore wind farms to what called second best potential is what? Offshore wind power is very high. So more than 40,000 megawatt has been estimated by the Ministry of what? The Ministry of MINRA, Ministry of New Renewable Energy India, more than 40,000 megawatt. If we go with this offshore and all, it may go to 180,000 megawatt of generations. So another reasons for spatial speed is you have to you have to explain the reasons for the limited spatial speed. The reasons are clear. Dry weather has no vegetation, no obstructions. Much be there, Rajasthan, Gujarat, and some central India, Madhya Pradesh, and all. You can have this situation. Second is what called the coastal areas has the more speed because of this. Otherwise, so in the rest of the India, there's a limited spread actually. So as a map, as a wind generation installed, like total installed wind power in India, installed wind power in India is around 40,000 gigawatt, around 40,000 what? 40,000 megawatt or about 40 gigawatt has been generated approximately by the wind power in India. Now it is, earlier it was the highest, now it is the second highest in renewable energy after the solar. Okay, and if you go further, it may goes to the 180 gigawatt of electricity generation it is possible. So the potential will be very high. So what needed technological things in generating this is the cost effective subsidies. So government initiative required. Okay, government initiatives required because a lot of problems are there. So subsidies required in technology R&D part. Okay, so the innovations is happening or procurement of these windmill parts from these abroad and all, okay, installation charges. So government help required in the subsidy. So government is giving a lot of subsidy in windmills, so it is generated more and more. So this has been given. Another limitation is the wind power is environmental concern is also been raised in the dry areas. So okay, second concern is about the environmental concern. So why environmental concern? The birds, birds get entangled in the blades of the windmill and they dies out. Okay, especially the Great Indian, what call? Great Indian bustard, Great Indian bustard of Madhya Pradesh or in Rajasthan or Gujarat. This has been injured actually. So birds' death and safety is concerned with this windmill. So this environmental concern you can also express. Another problem in this wind generation is the speed of the speed of the wind is not consistent. So for that, it's unreliable actually. All the time, every time, every place, it is not utilizable. This is another problem from this is arising. I hope you got this. So solution measures is what called do R&D. Okay, environmentally safe areas you have to install the windmill, extending to the offshore wind power. Clear? Okay. Next question. What are the forces? It's a long question. 15 marker 250. What are the forces that influences the oceanic currents? Okay, describe the role of fishing industries of the world in this. Oceanic current is the rivers in the ocean, just like the rivers in ocean that flows in one particular direction. When it is warmer than the surrounding water, we call warm current. When it is colder than the surrounding water, then it is called the cold current. So what forces are influencing in the oceanic currents? If you look at that, there are four forces. How many forces? Four forces that produces or direct or influences the oceanic current formation. The first is the wind generated force. Wind generated force that push the water uh, or the currents in its direction of the wind. Okay, so wind we already know move from high pressure areas to what called high pressure areas to what low pressure areas to as the wind is moving, the current also move in this. That means consistent wind, permanent wind can generate a force like the PG, pressure gradient force, and that will sustain the wind. For example, if you see this map, okay, if you see this map of the world, okay, in this map, there in the tropical areas, there is a trade winds are there. So trade winds are moving in the northeast, this direction produce a trade wind. Okay, this trade wind is an equatorial current. It is using equatorial currents are there on the equator part. So north equator. In southern part, we have what called south equator. Look at this north equatorial current and what south equatorial current is a byproduct of trade winds. You can got this idea. Okay, the wind generated force, or even the westerlies wind are generating what? The west wind drive to a circumantarctic current. You can give this. Wind can deflect the currents, like westerlies can shift the currents from west to east. So the wind generated force is very important here. So the major reason for the formation of oceanic currents. Wind is the most important reasons. Okay, so role of what? Trade winds, role of westerlies in formation and diversion of what? The oceanic current. And some winds are changing their directions, like seasonal winds, like monsoonal wind that change their direction. So there's a like winter and summer winds are reversing the direction. Then the oceanic current also reverse their direction, like in the Indian coast or the Somalian coast or North Indian Ocean, current systems are reversing with summer and winter. For example, in the summer season, like in the rainy season, southwest monsoon wind produce southwest monsoonal current. In the winters, northeast monsoonal wind produce northeast monsoon current in India. So that is a wind generated force. That's very important. Second force that can control or influence the oceanic current is the rotation of the earth, producing a force called what? Which force, Bachu? That is called Coriolis force. Coriolis force is generated due to the what? Rotation of the earth. So what is the role of this Coriolis force? So it is a deflective force. It deflects and the moving oceanic current. In which direction? Northern hemisphere deflects to the right, and in the southern hemisphere deflects towards the left. So it follows which law? Federal's law, okay, of deflections. So as a result of this, oceanic currents uh, start rotating. So this is the Coriolis force in northern hemisphere. The oceanic currents about this is an equator. This is a north equatorial current moving like east to west because of trade wind, and even south equatorial current moving from east to west. And because of this Coriolis force, northern hemisphere deflects towards the right. It takes the right direction. This process continue and forming a circular loop. The same way in the southern hemisphere, loop get completed by taking a turn towards the left, and this loop get comes. So this circular currents completing a loop called as what? In the tropical subtropical area called Gaillard system. So Gaillard is a rotating current system or circular current system on the Earth's surface. And the northern hemisphere, it is Gaillard rotate in which direction? But you can see it can rotate in the clockwise direction. It is due to the oceanic Coriolis forces. Or in the southern hemisphere, the water is circulating, the Gaillard is rotated in the counter clockwise or anti-clockwise direction. When you see all the gears of tropical, subtropical areas in northern hemisphere rotating clockwise, and this is due to what? Coriolis force or rotation of the. This is the second important force. Even the Coriolis force can do one more thing. That is called, can produce Ekman current. Okay, it can produce which current called? Ekman current. What is Ekman current? Anyone? What the Ekman current can do? Ekman current is a situation of or just surface and the bottom current get reversed because of Ekman current. Okay, it is due to the spin only. So it can do the upwelling, downwelling, or intermixing, or also called as the surface waters will go deep, deep waters will go up. So this situation is called as what? Producing overturning process. It can do. Overturnings are two types: upwelling in locations. Upwelling current, it can do what called downwelling current is also been produced. Upwelling means water from the deep areas come to the surface, rising upward. And downwelling is the warm waters are moving down. Upwelling are cold waters current. This is also a possible intermixing. Even upwelling and downwelling current is not only due to the rotation of the earth. This is also affected by what called when upwelling and is also caused with the wind at the coastal areas. At the what called which areas? Coastal areas. That also, for example, if you see this map, this diagram, this is the land part, and this is sea part. Okay, the wind is consistent from land to the sea. This become which wind? Offshore wind is consistent. Then what will happen? The water is of the sea surface will move away from the coast, and so in order to retain the water level, the deeper water come to the surface of the coast. And this process will become what? Upwelling. So upwelling the tropical geographies will make the colder currents here is maintained. And vice versa is possible when the wind is moving what? Onshore or offshore? Now wind is moving what called? Off onshore, offshore was there, like the wind is moving on the land side, on shore wind. Onshore wind will pile up the warmer water at the coast and the warmer water goes downward and this resulting into downwelling process. Downwelling resulting into which current? Downwelling is responsible for what called? Which current? Cold or warm? It is responsible for warm oceanic current. So this also wind generated. So downwelling and upwelling is possible by Ekman process by rotation as well as by the coastal onshore and offshore wind. Third force that can generate the or influences the oceanic current is called as the properties of water or the density density gradient force. Density gradient force. You know, the water has a different properties. Like sea water has a different property, temperature difference. Okay, salinity difference, or there is a difference in the what called density. So we know that temperature also can affect density of the water. Salinity can also affect the density of water. So most important differences in the seawater properties is what called density. So density differences in the seawater will push the water from one place to another. So high density area, water move to what called low density region. So this kind of force called density gradient force. So the water in smaller to higher level keep on moving. We know because of the temperature difference, salinity difference, or density differences, water has been stratified. Okay, water has been stratified and divided into three layers: upper layer in thermocline zone or the deeper layers. So now density gradient force are responsible to push the water. So the water move from high density region to low density region, and this kind of oceanic current system producing a global what conveyor belt across all the oceans are connected, or also called as what thermo-haline circulation system. So thermo-haline circulation, water up from the tropical areas in the form of current or warm currents move towards the polar region. So thermo-haline circulation systems are maintained. So thermo-haline circulation system is pushing warmer, more saline waters from more denser waters from tropical areas to polar areas. So the most of the thermo-haline circulation systems maintain what type of surface current? Warm surface currents dominates actually because of this on the earth actually. Which currents are dominating? Warm currents on the surface of the waters, or the cold? Warm currents are dominating because of thermo-haline circulation systems are there, because and this is done by density gradient force. So these three forces are more responsible. There is one more force that maintain the balance between Coriolis and the PGF forces. That is the vertical force. That vertical force, the balance between what PGF and Coriolis force is maintained. That the water is moving parallel to the densities or parallel to the when that kind of balance called what? Geostrophic balance, and this force is called geostrophic force. Sometimes the water is maintained, the currents are maintained because of geostrophic balance also. So now these are the forces which is controlling what? Or influencing oceanic current. Apart from this, there are other factors. Other factors are also can affect and influence the current, like the bottom topography of the ocean, bottom topography of the oceans, or coastal configuration. coastal configurations, okay, or this might be affected due to the seasonal changes, what called seasonal changes also can affect it, or the climate change in the long run can also affect the oceanic current. Okay, these other factors are also been there. Now, second aspect in this question is, please look at this. How does this oceanic current affecting the fishing industries in the world? What is the role in the fishing industries? Describe their role. Which role? Oceanic current role. Role of oceanic currents. Role of oceanic currents and what call? In fishing. So what is the fishing? Three roles you can think. First is the upwelling currents in the tropical areas, upwelling colder currents, okay, are present. Upwelling colder currents are present in the western margins of continent. Western margins of of continents, and that is bringing the nutrients, oxygen, okay, planktons on the surface and make the fish rich area. Upwelling cold current in western margins is what called? It's rich in fish, like Benguela coast, like this coast, like California coast here. It's rich in fish because cold current is upwelling. Here is Peru coast. Peru, this is the Peru coast, rich in fish. Even this is Benguela coast, rich in fish. West Australian coast, fish, rich in fish. Canary coast, rich in fish. This here is upwelling colder current in the tropical, subtropical areas are happening. Rich in fish. Why? Upwelling cold current bring nutrients from deeper areas to the surface. Second reason is what? Mixing of cold and warm currents. Okay, warm currents. Because when cold and warm currents meet or mix, so it will bring nutrients from the tropical areas as well as temp and polar areas, and the nutrient concentration increase, and that will make the foggy weather conditions also. So the fish having shelter and the more fish is found. So there are two locations. One is here, Honshu Island. Okay, here the Oyoshio cold current and the Kuroshio warm current is meeting at Honshu Island of Japan. Even this Newfoundland, when you see this part, here Labrador cold current and this Gulf Stream warm current is meeting. So this location is also known for fishing. So examples for mixing cold warm current is two. One is Honshu Island of Japan, Honshu Island of Japan in the Pacific Ocean. And next is what? Newfoundland. So these are fish rich areas actually. And third areas the current can affect these fishing is now especially these equatorial currents. Which current? Equatorial. There are three equatorial current: north equatorial, south equatorial, and counter equatorial current. And these equatorial currents bring nutrients, and these nutrients are being supplied in which ecosystems in these equatorial regions called coral reef ecosystem. They are supplying coral reef ecosystems is getting a continuous supply of nutrients from the equatorial current. Because of that, what happened? The coral reef become one of the biggest habitat to support the large number of fish in the tropical or equatorial waters, and 25% of the world fish catch is taking place from the coral reef ecosystem to the world. So this is a continuously fish source is being supplied. Okay. Conclusion is maintain the current THC system by maintaining global climate, so we can maintain and get the fishing availability. So this is what you have to write and draw the diagrams for. Next, describe the distribution of rubber producing countries and indicate the major environmental issues faced by this industry. So you have two parts. Is first describe the distribution of rubber producing industries, and second aspect is environmental issues faced by the rubber producers. First, an introduction of this. First, you understand there are two types of rubbers: natural rubbers and the synthetic rubber. And the synthetic rubber is more polluting and more damaging environmentally than the natural rubbers. Today, the 70% of the rubber which has been used is the synthetic one, and the 30% of the rubber consumed is a natural one. Okay, and but this natural rubber usage has on increase because of environmental concerns and restriction on the synthetic rubber. Now, the point is, so this in the rubber is used where? The usages of what? Rubber. So if you know the rubber has been used, 70% of the entire rubber has been used only in the tire industry, and the rest is used in textile or toys or other kind of material it manufacturing. So the applications of rubber, and because of that, rubber is in demand. So the demand of the rubber is on increase, and as a result of this, the rubber producing countries are producing more and more rubber, and that is causing an environmental issues on or threat. So that you put in the introduction part in first paragraph. Second, you look into account the what are the major producers of rubbers in the world. So rubber production, like natural rubber production, required two conditions. Two conditions like hot, humid climatic condition. Hot and what? Humid climatic condition. So this, okay, look at this, or humid climate. So this is found the tropical forest areas of rainforest as well as the monsoonal forest areas. Number one. Number two, this rubber production need these clearance of forest. Okay, plantation. Rubber plantation is increasing. So and as well as the concern from 2001 till 2020, more than 2.5 times increase in what? Times increase in plantation area, rubber plantation area, and the maximum damage increase of rubber plantation happen in the Mekong Valley. Which valley? Mekong Valley of Southeast Asia. So now, what are the major producing? Where these conditions are there? So major producers. Look at this map. Major rubber producers in the world. Rubber producer, wherever this climate has been there. So generally, naturally, rubber is from the Brazil, actually. Natural, so is a native of what? Native of Amazon forest. Okay, native of Amazon forest. But now it is not much grown in the Amazon. The 90% of this grows where? 90% of 90% of the natural rubber in the world only produced from which area? Southeast Asia and the South Asian part, or the East Asian part. So 90% of entire rubber plantation or rubber production, 90% of total production only from Asia, only from Asia is done today. So in this Asian countries, which is leading? What call? Rank number one is what? Thailand, second followed by Indonesia, then is the Vietnam and Malaysia. So these are the four major countries which is producing the rubber from East Asian countries. So all are Southeast, but in East Asia, when you add from East Asia, the China is the one of the important country. India ranks sixth in the world in production of this. In South Asia, one country called India has been producing. So what is the rank of India in the production of this? Sixth rank. Okay, and apart from this, West African coast, second biggest area for production of what? Of the natural rubber is the West African coast, West African coastal countries. So especially Ivory Coast, actually. Which coast called? Ivory Coast is known like Cameroon here, or these countries like Liberia here. It's known for production of what? Natural rubbers. Okay, these are the major producers. And the demand of what? Demand of natural rubber is on increase in the world. Natural rubber is on increase because of the movement which is going on So the plantation areas of rubber is on increase. Okay. So before tire industries, to the major consumer for is which industry? Tire industry is growing. More and more car manufactured or automobile manufactured, more and more tire has been required, and more tire required, more and more rubber plantation has been carried out. And rest is the other industries like textile industries also demand this. Even the toys manufacturing, etc. All is demanding. But 70% demand is only generated from tire manufacturing. That's the important part. Because of this, the areas are increase. Okay. Now, what are the environmental concerns of rubber plantation? Rubber plantation. We are giving our data like, so when you are rubber plantation more and more, so this is damaging which forest more? Tropical forest. Maximum damage has been reported from which jungles? Tropical forest, both evergreen as well as the monsoonal. Okay, evergreen forest as well as the wet deciduous. Wet deciduous forest isn't damaged. Okay, and this is considered tropical forest has been cleared and converted into this plantation area. Tropical forest is high undergo what? Two things, either deforestation or plantation or even degradation of natural forest happens, especially highly damaged tropical forest. When tropical forest is damaged, the consequences enters into habitat destruction of animals. So habitat what? Destruction. When habitat has been destroyed, so resulting in loss of biodiversities and other wild life. So tigers, lions, elephants, all is losing their habitat, and finally loss of biodiversities of wildlife uh, loss or enters into what called endangered situation, and which is not good for the sustainability of the earth. Even the jungle is a source of what called carbon sink. And if this more and more tropical jungle is converted into rubber plantation areas, it will have certain side effects on reducing the carbon emissions, right? So the carbon footprints will be more and the carbon sinks get reduced. So tropical forest is the one of the carbon sink. When more tropical forests are degraded, deforested, so the carbon sink get reduced. Carbon sink or sequestration get reduced, and reduction of carbon sinks resulting into aggravating the problem of already existing what? Global warming and climate change. Okay, so this is not because the biomass which is generated by these rubber trees is less than the natural tropical forests. So it has adverse consequences on the ongoing climate change and global warming, further aggravate this problem. Okay. So now when the forest has been degraded, natural forest for the plantation, so it may speeded up the process of what? Soil erosion, because rubber plantation is a high rainfall wet areas, so the surface runoff will increase, and when surface runoff is increased, what will happen? The top soil, fertile soil is removed, and it has agricultural damages will be more and more. So affecting the agriculture rural sector in the end. So environmentally, soil erosion, land degradation is also been caused by the rubber plantations. Now, when these rubber products or from rubber tree, one product is obtained which is used for rubber, it's called what? Latex is removed. So latex undergo what? Processing, and processing produce the what called rubber, and which is used to make different rubber products. Now, this processing of latex to converting into rubber is a pollutant. So it is polluting what? Air as well as polluting what called water. So finally, the processing of latex from the rubber tree to produce leads to what? Air and water pollutions. When water pollution is more damaging, so air is like sulfate is added into the air, acid rain, and so other problems it will cause. Okay, and the water pollution is increasing the biological oxygen. Demand will rise, aquatic life will be endangered, okay, or even the fish in the water bodies undergo depleted, affecting the which community? Fishing community. So all these are bit in danger. So what is the solution to this problem? What is the next paragraph, the last paragraph, you must write the solution to this. What is the solution to the rubber plantation areas? Sustainable rubber plantation should be allowed. Okay. So that means the forest or rubber plantation is not done in the tropical natural forest. That should be preserved, conserved, no human interference in that. But you should grow into the degraded land masses or degraded forest area. That's the first solution. Second solution is what? Come on. Rubber plantation areas are is could be used in the tire industry. Rubber is used in tire industries, and tire is more in demand, and it is non-recycled, it is used once thrown. Second solution is recycling of these tires and other rubber products again and again. Recycling units should be established that will reduce the rubber waste, and the less impact on this tropical forest would be there in that case. Third kind of solution, you can mix the plantation of rubber trees with these crop cultivation like banana or these called pineapple or others you can do along with that. That was the best. Agroforestry is the best third solution for the rubber plantation. Now, fourth solution is then during the processing units of rubber, so clean air, sulfate removal, or the water clean. So before the effluent released into the water bodies, it has a treatment plant should be there. So give the solutions accordingly. I hope you got it. So mention the significance of straits and isthmus in the international trade. Hello guys. So mention the significance of straits and isthmus in international trade. So it's again a 15 mark of questions, 250 words limit. So here are two words you must understand first. Define the word strait and isthmus. So isthmus and straits also act as a choking point. What is straits? So it's a narrow water channel that connect two large water bodies. That's called strait. And isthmus is a narrow landmass that connect large landmasses or continent called isthmus. So there are various straits and various isthmus which act as a trading routes actually for international shipping transport. It is have great importance. So let's identify what are the important straits and isthmus and how does it help in the international trade. So significance in the international trade to look into account. So first define both the terms and give the difference between what isthmus and the strait in the beginning. And next part is in the introduction. You just also give the importance to the both strait and isthmus. This is a providing the important trading routes for the shipping part. So this is act as what called the choke points where the harbors and the ports could be constructed on the strait and isthmus. They can control the international trade also. Choke points are important here. So strait can act as a choke point. Isthmus, harbors, and port also can act as a choke points. Okay. So now how and where these straits are existing? Like suppose this is a narrow landmass that is connecting with North America and South America. So this is a isthmus that connect North America with the South America. It's called Panama isthmus. This example is called what? Panama isthmus. Okay. Similarly, this is the Gulf of Thailand and or South China Sea, and this is Bay of Bengal, which is connected with this Thailand. So this is called the Isthmus of what? Thailand, or also called Kara Isthmus. Okay, so you can understand what is isthmus by now. So now even if you look at this Mediterranean Sea and this Red Sea or the Arabian Sea is connected through this Sinai Peninsula. Okay, this Sinai region is also acting in isthmus. Okay, so the two landmasses are connected here. The African landmass and this Asian landmass is called or Sinai isthmus. Sinai is also, so these are isthmus locations. These are narrow landmasses connecting two large landmasses. Like Panama isthmus is connecting North America with South America. Sinai isthmus is connecting Africa with this Asian landmass, and this the Thailand is connecting the Southeast Asia landmass with this called South Asia or this water belt. Now, if we created a channel here, artificial channel here in this isthmus, it may creating a transporting route between the water bodies too. Okay, so which has been done through Panama Canal or the Suez Canal has been connected, or in the future prospect has also been proposed project of Kara Canal has been proposed. So you have to dig a what canals along the isthmus to connect the water bodies and act as a transporting routes. This is for these how the isthmus can act as a transporting route. Now the second point is straits. Now you look at this point. So India and Sri Lanka is divided with Park Strait. Okay, yeah, and India and this called the South China Sea and the Indian Oceans part is divided by near south of Singapore another strait called as what Malacca Strait. Even this called Persian Gulf and the Bay of Arabian Sea is connected to Strait of Hormuz, or this Bab el Mandeb is connecting the Red Sea with the Arabian Sea. You can see this large number of canals are connecting Black Sea with the Mediterranean Sea in Turkey. Okay, even there are canals are also been there in here is connecting the Baltic Sea with the North Sea in the Denmark or Danish. And even there is 5 Great Lakes, St. Lawrence where there are large number of straits and canals also been constructed here. So you can see the map here. Here that act as the one of the world biggest trading routes through these straits. Like the biggest trading route for the oil trade in the world is Strait of Hormuz, so which is connecting the Persian Gulf with the Arabian Sea. Okay, and if you look at the second biggest choke point is what called the Strait of Malacca, that is connecting the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean or Arabian Sea. Yes, so the Bay of Bengal of India and the South China Sea, they are connected. So 80% of Chinese trade passes through Strait of Malacca. Second important route actually in the world in the oil trade and other trade. 80% of Chinese trade takes place through Strait of Malacca. So there are other straits are also important, like Bab el Mandeb, which is connecting Red Sea with this Arabian Sea, and Suez Canal is connecting Mediterranean Sea with what the Red Sea. Okay, okay. Then in the this Baltic Sea is connected to the North Sea by Danish Strait, or also called by another name called what Kiel Canal. Which canal called Kiel Canal is also there. This is St. Lawrence waterway is also having large number of channels. Even this Black Sea and the Mediterranean Sea, Sea of Marmara is connected to Strait of Bosphorus in Turkey. So even other trading routes can act as a choke point for like Cape of Good Hope in South America. Okay, Magellan Strait in the Argentina, and so on like that. So these are the important what called choke point. Why they are called as choke point? Why they are called choke point? This isthmus and the straits. Isthmus and strait is called choke points. Why? Because they can choke the international trade actually. There's a narrow channel. So they are called choke points because of the two importance. So the majority of the international trade passes through this. Choke point has two importance. One is trade importance. Okay, if anyone want to control the trade, they will have to control that choke point. The choke point is a location where the ports and harbors are built by the countries actually, ports and harbor, and they made a lot of money because of this exercise. Like Singapore made a lot of money by the controlling the Malacca Strait. Okay, trading routes. Now, in the same way, these have strategic importance too. What called strategic? Country who control these choke points, isthmus and strait, they have military and other economic strategic control. They can control the other countries. So strategic role as well as trade role has been there. You can see the example. So, for example, if this choke point has been closed, the isthmus or strait has been blocked, the trade cannot be there. Strategically, they are controlled. They may be happen willingly, the political reasons, or maybe accidentally it may be possible. The example in the recent years, like ever given one ship of Japan has been blocked into the Suez Canal. So this is another problem strain. And the countries who want to mint money through controlling isthmus and strait, so they are artificially creating large number of channels through these isthmus and strait, making navigable channels actually. For example, is Nicaragua can. So the two prospective channels which is under construction is Nicaragua uh, Canal is under construction in Nicaragua in South America, uh, and between this North America, Nicaragua, above the Panama. Okay, and similarly, one future prospect is also here in the Thailand called Kara Canal is also being constructed. Okay, that's what. In India, India's future prospect is ship, Setu Samundram shipping canal project in India, which is through parks. These are the prospect future it will be designed. So controlling the choke points and getting both trade control as well as strategic control on this. So economic boost, it will help in the economic boost, GDP generation. So these ports and harbor which you build up can act as what? Intraport for the other international shipping routes of fueling, and you can take money out of this. Second is a transshipment used for what called transshipment purposes. So you can use this ports and harbors for what? Fuel supply, food supply. So as a result, it will act as an employment uh, generator, actually, employment generator and major international trade. So the economy of that country is controlled by isthmus and strait only. For example, Panama Canal, Suez Canal, Strait of Hormuz, Malacca Strait, they are doing, or Dennis Strait. So these are the examples. So one of the major ports and harbors that take the advantages uh, of isthmus and this, can you give the examples which can take the advantage, like Singapore port, Copenhagen port, clear or not? Or the ports are built up on the St. Lawrence waterways, or the ports built up in the Cape of Good Hope uh, in South America. So these all are taking a lot of advantage of it. So the countries try to control it. So always straight and isthmus is not good. But sometimes it is a, because to control the choke point, there's a conflict zone also. There's the future what? Conflict zone. The caution is also the conflict zone, and the concern is also there. What are the concerns on the isthmus and the strait channels? So it may be a zone of what? Conflict among the great powers. They try to control this, so these military struggle might be possible. Example is South China Sea, Strait of Malacca, and all is happening. So Taiwan Channel cleared, or Korean Channel, South China Sea issue is there. Can think of great power, or it may, or conflict zone. Apart from conflict zone, if the ships are entangled or in these choke points because of some accidents, so it may block the trade. Actually, it may block the trade, and that need a clearance. So this may be done, or sometimes these are, the trading route is not blocked by accidents itself. They may be blocked by the pirates or some insurgent groups. Okay, insurgent groups can control this. Then it will be a danger to international trade. For the safety and shelter is being required. So conclusion you can draw. So this we should build up large number of canals through this trade and isthmus and facilitating the international trade. So leading to the global economy, regional economy, proliferating. Number one. Number two, we have to look into the concerns there. So safety, securities, the global level for maritime security, these routes become, this merge and trade become very important. So we have a global maritime securities for it. So even must come forward to help. Okay. So this is for this question. Now, another question is, troposphere is very significant atmospheric layer that determine the weather processes. So how the weather processes are determined by troposphere. So first in the introduction part, you define troposphere, the lowest layer of atmosphere whose height is between 8 to 18 kilometers, but it varies with the season. Summer it become more thicker and winters it become thinner. That's what at the poles its height is only 8, and the equator is 18 kilometers. So second point on troposphere and the basic is, so 75% of the gaseous material, 90% of the solid material, or 100% of the water vapors are present in this troposphere. Deals with what? Composition of troposphere. Okay. So as you go higher in the troposphere, there is a normal what? Lapse rate. So that means the temperature falls at a constant rate by 6.5 degrees. So that's this thing. So most of the atmospheric composition is present in troposphere. So because of that, the most of the weather phenomena and processes which we are experiencing on the land, or the climate which we experience or weather we experience on the land, is due to the disturbance happening in the troposphere. Question is how? Question is how does it happen? How deals with what? So how the weather conditions, weather and climate of the earth, climate of the earth affected by what? By troposphere. By troposphere. In general, since the most of the composition of gaseous material, dust material, water vapors are present in the troposphere, so the disturbance in this will cause the weather process. So in this way, it is affected. Now, let's go into the details. Mechanism of weather affected by troposphere. Troposphere is not uniformly heated actually. So because of differential heating, because of what called differential heating and cooling of land masses, the troposphere is unevenly heated and cooled. The polar region get cool, okay, and the equatorial region is getting hot. Differential heating and cooling produces what called uneven pressure. Actually, differential heating and cooling of troposphere over the equatorial region and what? Equatorial region and what? Polar region produces what? The temperature difference. Okay. Temperature difference between the equator and also we know as an earth. Then earth equator is what? Warmer area. Okay. And polar region is the heat deficient region called colder region. So and because of these temperature difference, there will be what called, which difference will be there? Pressure difference would be there. So warmer areas are having what? So equatorial low pressure, then polar will have what called? High pressure. Okay. And because of the high and low pressure, the wind start moving. First, the low pressure wind rises, the high pressure wind sinks. So whatever the wind goes up to tropopause, try to goes and towards the origin. So this is producing an atmospheric circulation system. The air from the equatorial region rising upward, going towards the pole in the upper atmosphere and sinking at the poles and maintaining high pressure. On the ground, the air move from the poles back to the equator. So it is creating a one cycle per hemisphere, like northern hemisphere one atmospheric cycle, southern hemisphere another, because of this differential heating in the troposphere itself. Now, so due to the, so when we add another factor, it's called the rotation of the Earth. So this single cycle, which is happening here or here, is breakdown in three cycles, and this producing the three subcells per hemisphere, and this is called producing a tri-meridional what atmospheric circulation system. So three cells have been produced. If you see this on the map of the world, suppose this is the world. Okay, this is 30 degree, this is 0 degree, 30 degree, 60 degree. One cycle is here. Okay, one cycle is here called Hadley cell. Here is ferrule cell. Here will be what called polar cell will be there. So Hadley cell is maintaining the tropical weathers. Ferrule cell is maintaining which weathers? The temperate, and polar cell is maintaining the high latitude, where the interaction is happening at 60 degree, interaction is happening at 30 degree, isn't it not? Interaction is happening at 0 degree. So these cells are not stationary. This is shifting with what? The seasonal shifting of tropospheric three cells, ferrule cell, Hadley cell, and this. So tropical climate is maintained by whom? Come on. Which cell? Tropical climate is maintained by which cell? Hadley cell. So Hadley cell is maintaining. So it maintain the trade winds on the ground. Okay, and shifting of trade wind with the season will turn into which winds? Monsoonal winds. So that means tropical climates are controlled by Hadley cell, and the Hadley cell control trade wind, and shifting of trade wind contain the monsoon wind. So monsoon climate, equatorial climate, all has been maintained by this. So it's a good point. So at the 30 degree, the sinking of air is operated. So ferrule cell and Hadley cell is interacting and pushing the air downward. So especially at 30 degree, at 20 degree to what? 40 degree latitude, what is happening? So Hadley cell interact with what? Ferrule cell, and because of interaction, there is a subsidence of air is reported. And because of subsidence of air, it maintains the subtropical high pressure. Subtropical what? High pressure. And this permanently is happening, okay, because the rotation of the Earth, Hadley cell and ferrule cell is interacting and resulting in sinking of air at the approximately around 30 degree latitude. And this is called subtropical high pressure. And this subtropical 22 to 40 degree, it maintains the subtropical desert climate. Subtropical, what called? Which climates? Desertic climate it maintains, because these are permanent what? High pressure zone is permanent what? Anti-cyclonic conditions. Warm anticyclones are maintained permanently here. Hot desert weather conditions are maintained. Now, if you move further, like 40 to 6, or like 30 to 40, 45 degree latitude, your ferrule cell is shifting with shift with season. So now when you're shifting will produce your westerlies on the ground is also shifting, and with the season summer, it is away from the land offshore. In winters, westerlies are onshore. The winter rainfall is caused. So a winter rain and the summer season remain what? Right. Such kind of weather condition which is caused between 30 to 45 degree western margin, and this is creating a which called as Mediterranean climate. Mediterranean climate is summers are dry and winters are wet, in this has been maintained. But if you go clearly between 40 to 60 degree, only controlled by ferrule cell, this is maintaining a which weather conditions? Temperate climate has been maintained by this tropospheric. The ferrule cell is maintaining. But so in the temperate climates, which winds are being controlled by ferrule cell? Westerlies are permanent. Westerlies are what? Permanent or controlled. So that's the one thing comes out. Okay. Now the British type climate on the western margins and St. Lawrence climate on the eastern margins get developed. If you go further at 60 degree, okay, the interaction of ferrule cell and the polar cell is there, and the resulting into rising of air. So that maintain what called subpolar lows. And subpolar lows is a location of formation of jet streams or temperate. Cyclones are maintained at 46, and this maintains the weather conditions of this area. So in this way, the world climate is controlled by the disturbance in the tropospheric condition. In the conclusion, you can say, because of global warming, these all cells are shifting poleward more and more and getting disturbed. So this atmo- atmosphere or the weather conditions are getting more erratic. So rainfall patterns get disturbed. Temperature conditions are getting extreme. Next, the last question is elucidate the relationship between globalization and new technologies in the world of scarce resources. But guys, here the demand is what is globalization, how these new technologies in the world uh, is proliferated by globalization to overcome the issues of scarce resources, and we have to give in the reference to the India. You know, globalization is means when the international borders become weak and the goods, services, idea, money, technology, all is flowing across the international border, then this kind of situation called globalization, and that's resulting into what? Formation of a global village. So this globalization is more helped by the technological innovation in transport sector, telecommunication sector, computer sectors, and so on. So now when these technologies are improving in, so the world does not have the resources everywhere, and more globalization means more and more trade and more trade. So the scarce areas will get the the resources from the surplus areas of trade get perfect. So the share of the international trade because of globalization and involve new technologies is getting more and more. Number one. Number two, uh, countries start realizing what are their specialization. So globalization will result in the what called specialization of the a country. So specialization is what? Specializations are in different fields. Like in India, the specialization is the human capital. So India use the human capital, okay, to generate the service industry, and export the services to the world for IT, information communication technologies. So we are even this we have worked on new technology like space technology. We are exporting the space to the world. Okay, we are launching various satellites, space services to the world. We become the IT hub of the world also. So in this way, the new technologies is what is helping India to generate new GDP. So Indian economy is totally connected to the global economy after 9. So what are the factors that resulted into what? This globalization. So that means you think of how technological advancement in India the help with the help of globalization took place. So how? First you think how. So I'm using the general framework, how technological what advancement in different fields. Okay, advancement in India helped by globalization, helped by globalization. So there is a linkages actually. So if we had utilized the globalization powers properly with the technological linkages, it is an advantages for economic society development. If we are misused or if we are unable to develop the link between globalization and technology, it may be a problem in the level of development. So how technological advancement in India helped by globalization. So this process gets speeded up in 1990 as this is called post liberalization or this phase called LPG phase. First major changes in economy happens after 1990. So new economic policies has opened the trade barriers. So as a result, the import and export barriers have been removed and the trade become easy between India and the also the new technology is able to enter into India. So new investors are coming. new FDIs, FIs are coming, more R&D is happening, and advancement of technologies is been taking place. So India took the advantage of starting from 1990. So in 2000, so we realized that we have more human resource than the physical mineral resources and other resources. So that we try to use human population as a resource, and they take the advantages of technology and lead in the globalization. So new IT Act has came in 2000, and we developed information communication technologies, and that resulting into the formation of new Silicon Valley from San Francisco has been supposed to be shifted to the Bangalore or Hyderabad or so India. So India become the new hub of ICT technologies, or the BPO of business processing, outsourcing, or knowledge-based societies, for KP or others kind of. So we look at technological advancement and we become the biggest supplier of labor force with high tech, which is providing the work to the entire world actually. So this new centers get opened up. This is the first part. So what are the merits of globalization technologies to India? Think of when we start using this. So what are the advantages we achieve in the second paragraph? Merits of globalization technologies to India. So globalization means it created what called jobs. So just advancement in different kind of industries, advancement of industry, surplus labors in agriculture sectors or informal sectors are shifting to the formal sector. Various industries start emerging from the IT industry come up, or the space industries start coming up. Nowadays called nano technology is coming up, or robotics are coming up. So finally we are entering into what called the resulting into fourth generation industrial revolution. Industrial revolution with the help of global forces. Still, this is the second advantage we come. So advancement of not only industries, it is the technologies resulting into more and more what investment in different sectors of economy. So investment in different sectors of economy like agriculture, industries, transport sector. So investment risen to higher what GDP growth. So India is having more GDP. So the post LPG phase, more FDIs, more FIs in different sectors, and that generate more and more GDP. That's as the growth thing happen. Okay, so because of more job creation, more advancement of industries, more investment in the sectors, globalization provided better links of Indian people, Indian citizen, Indian government to the rest of the world. And this help in governance, help in improvement of society, help in what called international trade. So this linkages, like if you look at the international trade share, so before LPG, Indian share was only 1.2% of the global trade, which increased to today more around 2.7%. So this is an improvement in international trade because of, and that export earning that increase. So the forex reserves of India improved. Okay, and we have foreign exchange more, surplus more than $500 billion. So that is an advantage we generate. Okay, and now even managerial skills of India people, like so management part become more and more formal, more expertise we learn from the world. So this is the advantage we have. But there are some challenges in this field too. Next paragraph is challenges of India to achieve the full potential of globalization-based technologies. Right? The problem is like we didn't took the advantage. Industrial development is not much in India, but we have the service sector more developed. And first problem is more development of what? More development of service sector. Because of scarce resource, we have to do it. More development of service sector, then what? Industrial sector. Okay. So which could be possible by fourth generation industrial revolution, possible we can add it. This is the first challenge. Second is every people is not able to participate in globalization technologies. Okay, so as a result, there is a divide actually. There are divide between rural areas and what called urban areas. So that this is maybe called digital divide. Okay, less penetration of IT in a different fields. So divide between rural and urban areas is there. For example, called digital divide is there, or infrastructure shortages are been there. Another problem for technological globalization is what called infrastructural bottleneck. Infrastructural bottleneck. If you remove these infrastructure bottlenecks, so the linkages between technology, globalization will be more, and we will be faster growth rate will be generated. So another problem is about the governance, like institutional problems. Institutional problems. A lot of paperwork uh, is involved by the global partners to come to India or Indian partners going to. So exit window is not there. So the institutional arrangement has to be built up. So one the structural is there. So government has taken some steps to remove some problems actually. So to look at the way forwards to this globalization issues in the recent times. So we have called uh, to connect rural areas with the urban areas. We have BharatNet program. Okay, we have BharatNet programs or subsidizing these fiber optic cables to the rural areas. Okay, or infrastructure, we are improving road, power, transport, and so on. That so investment in increase investment in what? Invest in infrastructure actually. So that will attract more foreign companies, MNCs, and that is more creative. Okay, so now for increase the share of what? Share of industries into the total GDP, into the total GDP. That's the agenda. So the surplus agricultural labor will be absorbed in the industrial things. So next is for institutional improvement uh, i- is is to do business actually. This we are doing very fast. Easy clearance to the projects. Okay, so this is the what we can think of. Thank you guys.